If you're just joining us, you're watching Newsnight here on Arise News. Human rights lawyer Inibehe Effiong has been released from prison after spending a month there for contempt of court. The chief judge of Akwa Ibom State had sentenced Effiong to prison last month after he questioned and objected to the presence of two armed police operatives in the courtroom. The lawyer walked out of the prison facility this morning to a waiting crowd of supporters. He told journalists and supporters that his incarceration has strengthened his determination to fight for truth and justice in Nigeria.
All right, joining us now is the man himself, Inibehe Effiong. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations. You've tasted what they say great men taste. They go to jail and come out even better. Do you think that will be the case for you? And really, I mean, this action by the Chief Judge of Akwa Ibom State seems to have divided the bar between those who say they're in support of her move and those who don't. Let's start with that before we talk about your deal.
The bar is not divided. The Nigerian Bar Association has been very clear in its position. As a matter of fact, the president who just handed over, Mr. Olumide Akpata, and his entire cabinet, and even the National Executive Committee of the NBA, which is the highest decision-making body of the NBA, took a decision that my incarceration was unlawful, it was unconstitutional and indefensible. And the bar even went further to say that they are going to petition the Honorable Judge of the Akwa Ibom to the NJ. Now, do that you say are defending the Honorable Chief Judge, with profound respect to them, are either doing so out of blatant ignorance, I feel with due respect, by ignorance, I mean ignorance of the facts of what actually transpired in court, or possibly out of pure mischief, or maybe out of partisanship or some interest that they have not explained, because I am the man in the eye of the storm. And anyone who was in court on that day would clearly attest to the fact that contrary to some of the things that have been reported, there was absolutely no basis in fact or in law for my committal to prison. No reason was given. My law did not state what offense I had committed. These all talk about contempt. The only time I heard that expression, contempt, on the 27th of July, was when my Lord actually pronounced the sentence of imprisonment of 1 month. Prior to that imprisonment, there was no dispute between me and the Honorable Chief Judge regarding any comments that I had made or any conduct in the court. There was absolutely no such thing. I was simply on my feet addressing the court on the propriety of having armed policemen in court when my Lord suddenly pronounced that imprisonment, that order of imprisonment. So to that extent, for anybody to come out and say that action is justifiable, I think it's just making nonsense about the judicial system.
You were accused of contempt of court by the judge. You refused or insisted that the two policemen must leave the court. And then there was the issue of the journalist who had his phone, and I was made to understand that media can record by writing, but they're not allowed to take pictures or record with their phones or any electronic gadget. Talk to us about these three issues I've raised.
Well, let's get the facts very clear. The facts almost is about insisting that a journalist has to come in. If he does not come in, the proceeding will not continue. It's false. No such conversation took place in court. There was no such conversation. There was no time that I said that if the journalist does not come in, I was not going to proceed. All these things that you have read, with profound respect to the court or whoever has parroted these accusations, for me, have no basis because they never happened. What happened was that this journalist from Premium Times is already known to the Honorable Chief Judge. And this is what those who are making these allegations do not know. This is not the first time that this particular journalist has been sent out of that court. My Lord had, at a previous proceeding, sent him out of that court on account of the fact that he had, the Premium Times had consistently reported what was happening in the case, including some of the comments that my lord had made, which, with due respect to the learned chief judge, were quite unfortunate. So my lord had sent him out in the past, and when he came back to that court, meanwhile, this journalist had obtained the consent, I can confirm to you, the consent of the chief registrar of the High Court of Appeal to cover the proceedings. And which law even says in this country, I challenge any lawyer to refer me to any law in this country that says that a journalist requires the consent of anybody before he can access the court and observe proceedings. So when they said that the journalist brought out a phone and was trying to make video record, I mean, it is not even logical. It is not even plausible. Imagine a situation where a judge is sitting and a journalist brings out a mobile phone and begins to record the judge. I mean, you know, this is impossible. It can't even happen in a Hollywood movie. This never happened in court. So when my lord asked him to stand up, and as I said, he was not the only one, but my lord singled him out because of the fact that I had stated earlier. So I simply said, my lord, you know, when the lord, my lord said his phone should be seized and it should be sent out, I said, my lord, that Section 36 of the Constitution guarantees publicity of trial. And this entails that members of the public, including the media, including journalists, have the right to enter and observe proceedings. Of course, my lord shouted me down, you know, and then said, except I was the one who brought him, you know, to disparage the name of the honorable chief judge. And of course, that
okay,
very personal. And I didn't argue further. I left the issue. I simply left the issue. I now went to the issue of the policemen. The issue of the policemen. Now, what happened was that immediately the honorable chief judge entered the court on the 26th. And I said this with all sense of honesty, and I said it on my honor. Immediately the honorable chief judge entered. The first comment my lord made was, where are the policemen? I said, that was the first comment. My lord was very, and I mentioned to the honorable chief judge, telling her the orderly to go and meet the policeman. And then he proclaimed, we appear everyone
seem to be having challenges with connection there with the newly freed Inibehe Effiong, human rights lawyer right there in Akwa Ibom State. Of course, he was jailed by the chief judge of the state, Ekaite Obot, for, well, not like you heard the Inibehe Effiong say there, you know, objecting to the presence of two armed police operatives. And of course, his insistence that journalists must cover the proceedings there. Inibehe Effiong, can you hear us? Is he back? Okay.
Yeah, I hear he's back.
It looks like we've lost connection with him again.
All right, so
we'll have to leave it there. Thankfully, he's out of jail after spending 30 days in incarceration. Inibehe Effiong there, a human rights lawyer.